It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Kyle Benedict as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. Great to have you in studio with us today. Yavapai County Recorder Leslie Hoffman in studio and Deputy Chief Recorder Karen McCracken in studio. Welcome back, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How are you?
Great. We're good.
You glad the elections are all over this year?
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You've been busy, huh?
We live for that.
Yeah, but we got 4 more to look forward to next year.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Well,
okay, hold that. We're going to come back to that later because we're going to talk about the general election first. Okay. Now, I went to Ken Bennett website, the Secretary of State's website this morning. Yes. We have 3.2 million registered voters in the state. 1.5 million actually voted during the general election, which comes out to 47.5% of voter turnout. How is that in the state? Is that good? Is that bad? Do we know?
Pretty average.
It's pretty average.
Pretty average. So a little less than half of the state, or at least the registered voters in the state, participate in the elections.
Right.
How do we get that to come up?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I know in Yavapai we do wonderful in Yavapai.
Yes. We were 61%.
See, that's really an awesome
Highest
number.
in the state.
Highest in the state, again, right?
Again.
That's pretty typical for us, though, too, isn't it?
It is. We have wonderfully engaged community.
We do.
Yeah.
We really do. And, you know, I don't know if it was because it was a midterm election. Those are usually a little lower turnout than
but we're
normal.
electing the governor of the state.
I agree.
Right?
Yes.
Congressional
We are.
seats.
Yes.
We are.
So that's important. It's huge.
It is
huge.
huge. It is huge, but it's just that's pretty customary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. The ballots were canvassed this week.
Yes.
What does that mean?
The canvass is the final audit, the final report, and our elections director, Lynn, does all the audits, the numbers, does certain reports that are required by law, and she presents them to the Board of Supervisors, and that is called the canvass, giving all the final figures, and then they have to approve that canvass, and then all of our figures go to the state. They do their aggregate canvass and put out the official final results.
Okay. Now, why does that have to be done? Why don't you just send them right to the state?
It's law.
Okay.
Yeah. It's part of the law that we canvass. Each county has to canvass separately.
All right.
And it has to be approved by their Board of Supervisors, and then it goes down.
Now, what would happen if they said, no, we're not going to canvass these ballots? What if the Board of Supervisors said, no, we're not happy with this? Has that ever happened?
It's never happened. I'm not really sure
All right.
how that would work. I don't know. That's a very good question.
Okay.
But one thing that we do, 2 days after the election, it is an option for the parties to do a hand count. And so the parties come in and they do a hand count, and our hand count came out perfect this year. The 2 major parties came in and did those. Maybe if there was an issue on a hand count, that might cause the Board of Supervisors to look deeper into the audits.
Yeah, if nothing came out with the audit, I'm sure that there would be, what happens, I think, if there's something doesn't come out right with that particular small area of the hand count, because they pick certain precincts to audit in certain races, I think what ends up happening is then all the ballots need to be hand counted. So to see where, you know, that could be off. That's what I understand, that you would have to count every ballot by hand.
But we've never had one off.
We've never had that happen, thank goodness.
That's good.
Yeah, so there are a lot of audits before it even gets to the supervisors.
Okay.
Right.
Lots of
So
audits.
I
Lots
guess
of checks and double checks.
lots of checks and double checks.
Yes.
I think that makes them confident that everything was done properly.
Okay. Now, Leslie, before we started the show, you said we had some really, the counts.
Yes.
The ballots that qualified for the election were really high.
Yes, they were.
Extremely high.
Extremely high. Yeah, of the provisional ballots that we got in, we had 93% were counted, a little over 93, and of the earlies, we had over 99% that were counted. So a lot of people always are concerned, especially on the provisionals, if they get counted, and we work those up, qualify those. The voter registration department, those girls work those up, and if we can, we count everything that comes in.
Now, what would make a ballot something where you couldn't count it? It's not going to count towards the election.
The biggest on provisionals, they weren't registered. That was the biggest percentage of rejections.
Oh, okay. So somebody voted. How do they get a hold of a ballot if they're not registered?
That's why they get a provisional. They come in,
Okay.
and we pull them up on our e-poll books.
Right.
doesn't show that they're registered, we don't deny them a ballot because it's possible their name just wasn't there or it was spelled differently when they submitted. So that's why it comes back and there's a manual audit to that ballot.
Gotcha.
And that information.
Okay.
And on the early ballots, the biggest reason for the rejections, it's the envelopes weren't signed.
Oh, and we talk about that one, don't we?
We always talk about that.
We really push that. Push that
Yes.
one, the green
and
envelope.
if they come in really close to the election day and we don't have a phone number, all we have is an address, and they're there the day before the election, we can't even get a hold of the people. If we have an email or a phone number, we'll call you and say, hurry, come on down, get your affidavit signed.
Now, the conditional provisional ballots are kind of the same way, right? You have only so much time.
Right, there is a waiting period for the conditional provisional. Those are people who come in that don't have any ID or don't show ID of who they are at the polling place. They'll still get a provisional ballot, like Leslie explained, and they have a waiting period to come in. I think it's 5 days after the general election. They can come in and show that they are who they say they are on the ballot. Show, photo ID and where they live. They have up to 5 days to do that. And
I had called you, I think, the day they were due to come in by 5 p.m. and you said, I think we had like 9 conditional provisional taken out and only 5 were left. And I noticed the day after I spoke to you that those 5 folks had not shown up to do that.
Yeah.
But many times nobody shows up to cure that ID requirement. So we were really happy that we had almost half come in.
Do you think it's possible that people feel like, well, we've been doing election results now for 2-3 days and everyone's saying, you're the winner, you're the winner, you're the winner, you lost, you lost. Maybe it's like, why even bother go in and sign the ballot? But still, I think you voted, so you should. You should. I agree. You should still qualify your ballot. Yeah. Some people just don't want to bother coming back. And really people who don't have ID, when they go to the polling place, they can always come back that same day, and go get their driver's license or whatever they need to cure that, conditional provisional ballot. All right. Perfect. All right. We had our first independent, you said. We did. Tell us about that. It was the Justice of Peace in Seligman. It was the contest was, there was a Republican and an independent for the general that made it to the general ballot, and the independent won, and it's the first independent we've had. In Yavapai County? Yes. That's ever been elected into office? Correct. Yep. Wow. What else was unique about the election? You had one more thing there I remember you were talking about right after Justice of the Peace. Oh, we had, our closest race was the mayor, the water district. Was won by 1 vote. 1 vote. 1 vote. And then the people are going to want me to ask you, why aren't we recounting those? Because we've got a congressional seat in the state where they're going through and recounting all the ballots. They will be next month. So there's only 1 vote separating the candidates, so why not recount those? Special districts. Okay. They have a different set of laws, and they do not require recount. If the candidates wanted a recount, they would have to go through a judicial process. And then the courts would, if that person requesting a recount won, then they would come to us and say, you have to recount. Well, I guess there's no automatic. It shows how important the ballots are. Very important. Right? Yes. We were just talking about those 5 conditional provisionals. I mean, it could have been 6 votes apart. There you go. Yeah. Exactly. Right. So they all count. Yes, they do. Yeah. Did you have something to add to the water district? I didn't. No. Okay, I felt like you were going to say something. No. Oh, let's take our first break then, okay? Okay. Sure. Karen McCracken and Leslie Hoffman in studio today with Yavapai County elections. Stick around, Countywide back in just a couple minutes.
Really? Buzz, what's up, man? You left some leaves burning out here. Yeah, I just came in just for a second. Come on, man. If it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave. You could torch the whole neighborhood. It's a good point there, Smokey. 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
At Gettles High Desert Mechanical, rather than do lots of things, we focus on doing one thing right. We serve climate-challenged people. Gettles starts with a free system evaluation to identify the best AC and heating equipment for your home or business. Professional installation, warranties, and service after the sale. If you're climate challenged, then we're the right choice. Gettles High Desert Mechanical, the name to trust.
We finally bought a place.
You seriously have enough saved to do that?
We've been putting a little aside each month.
So at the end of the month, we have nothing left to save. How is my account overdrawn?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Good one, son.
Last summer, my new dad took me on vacation. First, we went deep sea fishing.
Wow! I'm so proud of you, son.
And then we went on Thunder Shark. That was awesome! Let's go again. 3 times. I gotta say, it was pretty cool.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Oh, not again.
Welcome back to Countywide. Yavapai County Recorder Leslie Hoffman in studio today, and Deputy Chief Yavapai County Recorder Karen McCracken.
Hey.
We had Janine Hanna was going to come in, and she fell ill and was not able, but she is our Register of Voters in the county. But you were the Register of Voters.
Yes, I was.
Prior to taking this new position.
Yeah.
So what is a Register of Voters?
The Registrar of Voters basically is in charge of making sure the voter rolls are accurate and removing people on the rolls who have moved, passed away, maybe have moved, so we need to figure out where they are, put them in an inactive status. So we make sure that whatever we present for an election is the most accurate voter rolls that we can provide.
It sounds like you're like a detective then. I mean, it's got to be pretty tough to track down people. How do you know that someone's moved?
We know that they've moved because we send out a mailer every couple of years.
Okay.
Big mailer. You've probably gotten it saying, here's your new voter ID card, letting you know when the elections are coming up. Mm-hmm. If we send that out and we get mail back, we don't forward any mail. So we want to know where people are from the post office, and we get a ton of that mail back.
Okay.
And we process that mail. And basically, we see on that little yellow tag on the envelope that comes back from the post office saying this person's new address is such and such.
Oh.
We put that in our system. We start processing all that return and undeliverable mail. Basically, we send them a notice to that new address saying, hey, you moved and you forgot to let us know. Do you want to re-register at this new address?
Because you have to.
Absolutely. If you want to vote and get the proper ballot, we have to have that new information from you. Otherwise, you will not get a ballot from us. And what will happen is if you go to the polling place and try to vote on that day, you'll get a ballot, but you'll get a provisional ballot because you may not have the ID that shows the address that we had in our system last. Mm-hmm. You might have that new information. So they'll say, here, we'll give you a ballot based on your new address. Can you fill out this envelope with your new information? So that's kind of how it works.
So it's important when we move to make sure we count. I'm sure that slips people's minds.
Absolutely.
A lot of them think when they change the driver's license, that comes to us.
Oh.
And it does not come automatically. They have to check the box yes to update their voter registration. Don't realize that.
Right.
So it is an option there.
It is an option, and you can do it online. It's very easy. Not something that you have to come down to our office to do. You can go to servicearizona.com and change your address there also.
We made things pretty easy in the state.
Absolutely.
To register to vote, right?
Yes.
We're one of the first states to do online voter registration.
Right. Right.
Speaking of, with the Register of Voters, okay, we've got that going on. Are there any other jobs that are in there that are taking place throughout the year?
Oh gosh, early voting is always, we're getting ready for early voting. Mm-hmm. We have 26 days prior to any election. We're mailing out ballots. That's what our job is in the recorders. So once we get the ballots from elections, we are preparing all the ballots for our permanent early voters. So all the data that we're getting throughout the year, people moving, name changes, party changes, things like that, we're preparing all that in order to get those ballots out to people on that Thursday before, actually Thursday after we register to vote.
Right.
There's that cutoff for us. We have to have over 80,000, was it about 80,000 early ballots we had to prepare and
that's
package
pretty high,
up.
Isn't it?
That's huge.
Yeah, that's huge. And it's Yavapai County.
Yeah, we have about 125,000 registered voters, maybe a little less than that, and a huge portion, what, 70% of them vote early.
Are permanent early voters.
Permanent early voters. We have to get all of that prepared and ready to go out on one day to the mail off.
So we have far more people that vote by mail than we do at the polls.
Absolutely.
And another 10% come in and vote early, because you can vote in person early.
Oh, sure, there's that
at the Cottonwood Annex or Prescott 26 days prior. So that's part of voter registration too. They handle the early voting and the permanent early voter list.
Has that allowed us to reduce the number of polling places we have, which of course is going to save money?
Absolutely.
That's been a huge reason why we moved to the vote center concept. We noticed that we did not have a lot of people going to certain polling places, and it just seemed not fiscally responsible to have these polling places and
people just standing around doing nothing.
Yeah, the poll workers were not busy enough, you know, so we thought it would be best if we could pare down, and we started doing that
2010.
in 2010, sorry, I forgot. It went down to us consolidating polling places and using what's called an e-poll book, and that would allow us to start seeing how we could, you know, pare down and go to that vote center concept, and e-poll books allows us to do that.
Okay, so between early voting, and the vote centers make voting very easy as well.
Correct.
Yes.
I was going to ask you this question. I kind of gave it to you at the beginning. Yavapai County has the vote center process to where if I live in Cottonwood but, say, work in Sedona, throughout the day on election day, I can vote anywhere I want at any polling place throughout the county. It doesn't matter where it's at. And it used to be that I would have to look at my card, my voter card, and say, okay, my vote, I go to the fire station on Goddard Road, the church right across the street from it, and that's where I have to cast my ballot because I'm in this precinct. Now, Yavapai County went to vote centers, so I can vote anywhere I want to, which is really very convenient.
Yes.
Now, Coconino County still does it, I'm going to say the old way, where you go to the precincts.
Yes.
Right.
Why is that? Why isn't the whole state kind of uniform on that?
You know, every county can conduct elections according to the law, you know, how they feel is best and fiscally responsible for them, and how they feel they're serving their voters the best, I think, is how it's best explained. Vote centers is a new concept, and it started in Colorado, and we went to a conference, and Lynn heard about this new concept and thought this would be a great way for us to service our county, basically because we did have a high amount of early voters, and that polling places weren't being utilized as they should.
Sure.
So we thought baby steps toward this process, because it was new, we weren't sure how it would work, would be a good way for us to go in that route. Now, there are other counties, and Coconino is one now, that I think they're looking at, but they're taking their baby steps. They have e-poll books that, you know, is the first start of it. You're using an electronic poll book to see how it works in, you know, going toward vote center, because that e-poll book is going to allow you to go to a vote center concept. You need to be electronically communicating with all the other polling places if you want to go to a vote center concept.
Okay.
Okay, so they're using that to see how that tool kind of works in a precinct concept or consolidated polling place concept. Then I think they're going to probably branch out. But again, they're taking their time to make sure that they have all the necessary, you know, equipment, electronics, and to see how, I guess, how their voters would respond to that.
All right, we'll have to take our second break, okay?
Okay.
Yavapai County Recorder Leslie Hoffman in studio today, Deputy Yavapai County Recorder Karen McCracken in studio. I'm Paul David. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
So, I just moved in with his family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Time to wake up. I've got a job to do today.
I've got a job to do today.
Don't forget, you've got a job to do today.
Hey, Mom. I got the job. Thanks.
Got the job. Welcome aboard.
Have a good first day at work, Mom.
Your donations to Goodwill fund job training programs right in your community.
Feels good to start fresh, right?
Sure does. And like that, you're a job creator.
At Gettles High Desert Mechanical, rather than do lots of things, we focus on doing one thing right. We serve climate-challenged people. Gettles starts with a free system evaluation to identify the best AC and heating equipment for your home or business. Professional installation, warranties, and service after the sale. If you're climate challenged, then we're the right choice. Gettles High Desert Mechanical, the name to trust.
Welcome back to County-Wide. We've got just a couple minutes left in the program, talking with Leslie Hoffman and Karen McCracken with Yavapai County Recorder's Office. Next year, we kind of started the show that way, and I said, hold your thoughts. I said, well, we'll probably have 4 more elections next year, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the case, is it?
No.
So what's going on next year for us in 2015? Unbelievable, it's here already.
I know. Well, so far, we don't have a March election.
Okay.
We don't know about May because the filing deadline has not been met yet. We haven't got there yet.
Okay.
We do know we'll have in August and November because Prescott will have their election.
Okay.
City of Prescott.
So kind of a light year next year.
For elections.
For elections,
For elections, yes.
Yeah.
But we stay very, very busy.
We still stay busy. We're
How?
still registering people.
Okay.
Yeah,
You know,
that's still
people
goes
still
every day.
move. People do pass away. People, change their registrations.
You're keeping track of us.
Yes.
Trying to keep us in the records correctly so that we can, right?
That's what we do.
Accuracy.
That's what we do.
The last audit we did, we do an average of 542 changes a day in the voter registration rolls.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Every day?
Every day.
Okay, I'm surprised by that because I thought maybe there was other duties that you'd do this thing and then you'd be able to go off and go do something else, but that's not the case.
That's not the case.
No.
We do it constantly, every day.
Well, we're busy people. We're always moving around.
That's right.
Yes.
And we'll be bringing forward legislation this year and hearing legislation. Who knows what the legislators have for us to review and think about of the changes they want to make.
Yeah, election laws change a little bit all the time, don't they?
Constantly.
Yeah, which we get updated on that from you guys all the time. So.
Right. And odd number of years is when we can be at the legislature and speak with our legislators about changes, amendments, things that we want to bring forward.
30 seconds left.
Okay.
Any chance of online voting anytime soon where you just click on your computer and bump, 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 and there we go?
I don't know if it'll be in our lifetime.
Okay, all right. So everyone's still a little weary about that. You were saying during the break that people still like to have things in their hands.
They do.
They
We still like to see it. And
yeah, they want to review
study
their
it.
pamphlets. There's some people that just don't want to let go of that kind of stuff. I don't know that our generation's ready for that
maybe
online
someday
voting.
down the road. But I'm going to ask you that every time you come in here.
I know you
I'm
are.
kind of curious as to how long it'll take.
We'll have to do some research on that.
People are so much smarter now and security. It's all about the security.
Right.
It really is worrying about people getting into the system. So until a system can be created that can't be hacked.
We hear about that all the time.
We hear about it constantly.
Right. And that's always the people who object to it. That's their
And I understand
concern.
that. I understand that.
Yes. People are concerned now even about how we perform in election and how do we ensure this person voted this ballot and,
Well, good to see you again, Karen.
Thank you for having
Leslie,
us.
thanks for coming in. Tell Janine she missed out.
I will. She's very disappointed.
I'm Paul David. That's today's County-Wide. We'll talk to you again next time.